Welcome to Money Convos, where we discuss personal finance and investment tips. We're committed to helping people create wealth and achieve financial freedom. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. All right then, let's head into today's conversation.
Hello, Kevin.
Hi, Adam. How you doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm great, Charlie. I'm great. Catching a break this week after an active weekend. Yeah. How have you also been up to?
I'm also just gearing up for the Easter. But I have a lot of work on my head.
Oh, Charlie. Are you going to go?
Oh, no, I'll be in Accra.
You don't do the Easter Kwewu.
Oh, Charlie, nah.
I see.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Actually, a thought just hit me because of the topic we are discussing. Today we are talking about when you want to own your own home. And we are looking at it from the angle of just of some scenarios, some different people's situations that they've been in, and then going to give some advice on those ones. But as someone involved in home building, how does it feel when you complete a home and then your clients move into the house?
Oh, I think it's a very fulfilling feeling. When you start a whole construction project, we deal with projects, so you start from the beginning. In fact, sometimes even before execution, there's a whole lot of planning and back and forth here and there. And at every stage, when you achieve some form of a milestone, it's very fulfilling. And I think the greatest of the fulfillment is when you are done, and then you are handing over the building to the client. It's a very nice feeling, that that all the back and forth was worth it. Yeah, Elike.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Pardon that. Yeah. All that back and forth was worth it. Charlie. And usually, how?
Hello, I lost you there briefly. Hello, Elike. Can you hear me? Hello, Elike. Hello, Mimi. I think. Let me send you a request so you join us upstage. Okay. So maybe if you can hear me, I've sent you a request so you join us upstage for the discussion. Yeah, hello Mimi, how's it?
I'm fine, you?
Hello. Okay. All right, I'm doing good too.
Okay.
Are you preparing to go to Kwewu?
What's Kwewu?
You said what's Kwewu?
Yes, Kwewu. Kwewu intentional.
Do you live in Teshinungwa?
Yeah.
Which part of Teshinungwa? Sorry. We will talk backstage, don't worry.
The first junction somewhere there. What?
My hood, my playground.
Say playground.
I wonder what kind of play you are playing in that playground.
I hope it's holy play.
Oh, I said my church is around
First
Junction. No worry.
Your what?
My church is located at First Junction side there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't go to the Smintex branch?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Anyway, Elikem, sorry, you asked the question. I didn't hear you. Hello, Elikem. Okay, I think we will. Mimi, we will just start off with our discussion for today. So, welcome everyone this evening or this afternoon or wherever you may be, whatever the time is. This Money Convos, your usual discussion on money issues and related things. So today we are discussing when you want to own a home and some various scenarios that people face and go through as they are preparing or they take the decision to own a home, and what are some of the challenges or the teething questions they have to look through. So we will be posting some. I think Elikem should have posted.
Yeah, pardon me, I'm trying to post it, but I'm putting a request for something and the calls just keep coming through. I've put it on Do Not Disturb now, so let me just finish posting. Sorry about that.
Okay, so I will continue engaging until you are done. So we'll be discussing and looking at the various scenarios and see what are some of the best ways out of the this is like dilemma part 3, but this is about home ownership dilemmas, or kind of like home ownership, the kind of issues that people face when they want to own a home. So I think we'll be dealing with 4 cases today, 4 different cases, as much as time will allow us, what we can do, and then we would follow through from there and look at how we can learn from it ourselves and make certain better choices when it gets to our turn. Yeah, so that's basically what we'll be dealing with today.
Great. I have posted them, so anyone can just read, look at the reply to the tweet for this conversation, and you'd see the case 1 has been posted. I'll post case 2 as we go on.
As we go along. Okay, great. Welcome, will you mind reading the case for us so that we...
Okay, sure. So it reads, Kwadjo works with AB&C Oil and Gas Limited as an IT specialist. As part of his employment benefit, he can access a mortgage of up to $150,000, of which his company will make 65% of the loan repayment monthly. He has been renting a 3-bedroom house at Dzorwulu for $800 for the past 5 years, and is considering acquiring a 4-bedroom house around Tse-Addo for $125,000. His wife is considering pursuing a master's program either in the US or Canada and has started the application process. There is a possibility of transferring to the Canadian office of AB&C Oil and Gas Limited if he decides to move to Canada with his wife and 2 kids. Should Kwadjo buy the Dzorwulu property?
Interesting scenario. Okay, so
and first, if I may just give some credit, Mimi wrote these cases, very interesting cases, and I hope they are based on real life. Then we have to go and find this Kwadjo and be his friend. These are the kind of friends we need in our life.
We need these kind of friends in our lives.
Mimi, is this based on a true story?
Please, when you find him, link me up to
Okay.
Interesting. Anyway, welcome, Paulina. If you are available, you can join upstage so that we continue. We have the discussion. It's been a while since we've heard from you, so you could join us upstage. So, Elike, maybe you should give it the first go, and let's see when we go around the room and see how we can look at this. What should he do? What should Kwadjo do? He's in a dilemma.
Okay, I guess there are certain key things that key parts of the story that I think he needs to pause and think about. And the main moving part is the fact that he'll be there's a possibility of the wife moving to pursue a master's program. He on the face of it, just looking at the first half, I think it's a slam dunk. Buy the house. The company will pay 65% of it for you. You can make it happen, you know. This story doesn't actually, it says he pays $800 in rent, I can quickly try to calculate what the mortgage payments would be and then see if what 65% would be. But it looks like it should be doable. We can just run the numbers quickly. And if he can afford it, I would have said get the house. But then there's a wrench thrown into the plans because there's a potential to go to Canada. And we all know that Canada has very good immigration policies, you understand, very welcoming. And he can get to keep his job, which is, for Ghanaian standards, is it looks like it's very cushy. If they will be willing to pay this much for you, it must be a cushy job. You're already paying $800 for renting somewhere in Dzorwulu. Then he seems like a big boy, so I think this person can handle or it will be a cushy job even in Canada. So I think Kwadjo shouldn't do the Dzorwulu property. Just wait, go to Canada, get established there, save the money, and then see what will happen in Canada. Don't rush and make a decision just yet.
Okay, don't rush and make a decision just yet. Mimi, what will be your thoughts on this case?
I think buying a house is a big thing. And thinking about it, was it based on a real life story? A bit of it. Well, I know a friend who purchased a home. I don't know how they purchased, whether it was their own cash or mortgage or whatever, a year or two before they moved to Canada. I don't know the story behind what they did with the house. So some of these things, but I think that since they are unsettled with, where exactly they want to go with their lives in the future, maybe he can hold on for a while. But the truth is that, it's a good deal. At the end of the day, it's a good deal. But when you're taking a mortgage, you need to be asking yourself about the ability to pay, which I don't think will be a problem. If he moves outside, will he still want to maintain the house here? And what exactly would he be using it for? Would he want to flip it and just make some profit of it, treat it as an investment? Or will he just want to leave it till maybe he comes, maybe he 30 December or something, he plans to come, or use it as Airbnb, and then when he comes home he can take possession of his property, or what? So I think a lot of thinking will have to go in. Ideally, he has to think about what his ideal lifestyle is, where he would want to go in the future, and decide if buying the property is a good way to go, and multiple uses of that property, just in case they have to, go, the opportunity comes and they have to go. It wouldn't make sense for him to sell it, at that point. So for me, that's what I think.
Okay, good. So there are a lot of factors that will come into play in taking this decision, whether he should go ahead or he should just take it slow, like Elikem said, or probably buy it, flip it, make some profits, but it's all dependent. So I think the key thing here is a matter of getting all the information and trying to make sure that you are making a very good decision and not just rushing into taking a decision because he can or he has the opportunity to do so. Okay. Now, is there a situation in which, like, okay, Elikem, I want to throw it back to you. What other, should I say, factors or what other scenarios within this particular case would make a buying situation, oh, this one there, go for it, buy it? What are some of the things that could have made it like that way?
Well, before I answer your question directly, I just worked some math. if he's getting a mortgage of for what's it called, a house that's worth 125,000, or if the mortgage is 125,000 and at a mortgage rate of, let's say, 15%, then the monthly payment is $1,750, and the company will pay 65%, leaving him to pay 35%, which will be $612. That's way less than the current rent that he's paying. So now to bring it back to your question, if he was staying in Ghana, I would say that's a constant. Like, just take it up. You see, and so that would make it a good deal. What else could make it a good deal is really if he has a good sense of what their income in Canada would be and what his expenses in Canada would be, so that it can be like what Mimi was saying. If the property can be seen as something for rental income, then he can buy it here and then move there. But chances are, if he's moving, there will be some obligations to the Ghanaian office of the company. And what if he gets there and he wants to do another mortgage? Would they allow him to do a second one? It's already going to be one mortgage on his credit record. It'll be some kind of way. So as the only reason why I would say it would make sense for him to go ahead to do it is if they are staying if they will stay in Ghana. If the wife can just go do the masters and come back, that's cool. But otherwise, if he wants to move out, I don't think it's a good idea. But then, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I was also thinking. That if in this situation, if he's moving out, if he's staying, and from the calculations you have done, because I was also just trying to just imagine what the mortgage payments would be. But I mean, to get your company to be able to pay 65% of it, like, that's quite a good cushion for you. And as you can see, if he's supposed to be staying, then it means that immediately he's going to be making savings of 800 cedis less than, instead of $800, he's now going to pay 675, you say. Okay. So he's going to be making that kind of savings already. So in that scenario, I would ask that he should go for it, because he'll be better off going for the mortgage and paying that less thing than the rent he is paying. And as I think we've discussed this before, that if you're able to get a good deal on your mortgage or something, it's better than to be paying rent, because at least the mortgage, you are contributing to owning the house. So if he was staying or he was certain, I think here the problem is the uncertainty about exactly what he's going to be doing going forward. So I will also toe your line as you answered from the beginning, that he should wait till things are much, much clearer, because it says the wife has started the application process. So he can wait on that decision. How about the fact that she has applied doesn't mean she will get admission. So if she doesn't get admission, then maybe it ends there and everything changes. But it's possible that she could get admission. And then now another issue will come up is, how is she funding that school, which will also throw different dynamics into their financial situation. So I will toe your line of saying you should wait till things are much, much clearer. But if it ends up that they are supposed to stay in Ghana, then I believe that it's a good deal that you can go for. At least you make that savings. Yeah, Elikem.
It's very interesting other angles that you've brought up. Like, what are the odds that the person will get, that the wife will get the school that she wants in the right time, and then the visa will also go through? Because I hear even Canada, they have some long waiting time for visas. There are a lot of moving parts in there. But then it got me thinking. I was reading a book lately by Financial Samurai. Buy This, Not That. It's a book about personal finance. And he mentioned that in life, there are a lot of decisions that you have to make that you will not have 100% certainty. You just have to pull the trigger when you are 70% sure of a positive outcome. So looking at all these moving parts, looking at what's the probability of going to school or of getting the school, what's going to be your cost, you at a point have to ask yourself, do you have a 70% certainty that everything will go well if you buy the property, or if you wait and see the results of the school decision and the visa decision? So it's like, have a plan A, have a plan B, have a plan C. And with either of these options, you should be comfortable that, you know what, I've made the right decision. If it goes well, great. If it doesn't go well, no problem. I have a backup plan. Because you could even say that, these school applications, they may take some weeks or months before you hear back. Even if you hear back, how about funding? Like you said, more time going to waste. And what if there's some economic uncertainty with the person's job? What if there's some layoff? There are so many moving parts, but the whole point is, don't wait for 100% certainty. If you are 70% confidence that it will go well, maybe you can take on that decision. I'll just advise that this person shouldn't take on too much leverage. If you are really going to go to Canada, you want to keep calm a bit, because you will need all the cash you can get. If you lock yourself into this mortgage, you have to pay. So yeah, just a few more thoughts on that.
Okay, great. I think Paulina has sent in a contribution, and she's saying that she thinks he should buy the house. Real estate is almost always a good investment. Well, okay. That's her view on this too. And I like the angle what you get to. Oh, sorry, you wanted to comment.
I don't know. Your wow wasn't convincing at all.
Yeah. I wish we could do a back and forth with Paulina, but I'm seeing the chats, right? I'm just curious, Paulina, how would you consider, yes, real estate is a good investment, but what if you can't afford it? And how do you know you can't afford it? You can do this mortgage, but if you suddenly have to move, there's a whole cost to relocating. Then you will have to get rent in a different country. So you're already paying $670 something, right? Now you got to get rent somewhere else, and the cost of living abroad is way higher than in Ghana. In Ghana you can melt your $100 and then it will go a long way. But when you are facing the dollar to dollar, your income is in dollars, your expenses are also in dollars. It's a whole different ball game. So I'm curious about affordability, even though the real estate is a good investment. Perhaps if you can drop it in the chat, that would be great.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Eliken, for your comments also. For those who have just joined, we are discussing when you want to own your own home. And we have posted a case study in the forum or the discussion under in the tweet. Yeah, you just look through the tweets for the space. You would see the case study there. And we are just discussing how people can take the dilemmas that people actually face when they want to own a home. Okay, so I think we will just, I think we can proceed with the second one. Or Mimi, do you have any concluding remarks on this particular one before we move on to the next?
We are all praying for such a job. That's all I have to say.
Mimi wants to jackpot, we can see. Mimi wants to run
just
away.
For the records. Please, just in case my employer is listening, this is just a general comment.
That's a general comment.
Disclaimers, okay. Before I read the second case, I guess we can. Great! I was going to read Paulina's response, but I guess she's requesting for the mic, so we can hear from Paulina.
Yeah, hello, Paulina. Can you hear us?
Yes, Adam, I can hear you. Again, don't forget that the case study says that he has the chance of employment with another oil and gas company. So I think that it's a good deal, especially if he's sure about his source of income when he goes to Canada. Then this can be a rental income because, like I said, like real estate is almost always good investment. So I think that he should buy it, especially if he's sure of his source of income, and if he does the cost benefit analysis and sees that his salary in Canada will be enough for their living expenses there and can help him pay the mortgage in Ghana. Why not? I think that it will be a good investment.
Okay. Any comeback from Elikem, or we should let it go?
Oh no, I think it's all about the calculations, right? Making sure, like Paulina said, make sure that if the salary in Canada will still be able to cover this mortgage plus their new living expenses, because even if you are renting it, there will be, you have to play safe and assume that you still have to pay for the mortgage thing, because you may not necessarily get someone to rent 100% of the time. Maybe a tenant will move out, there will be some maintenance costs and all of that, so yeah, once the numbers work out, then it's fine.
Okay, great. So we move on to the next case study, which we're looking at. Elikem, have you been able to post it?
Yes, read it? It's part of the. It's after the last one for case.
It's in the thread.
Yes, in the thread. So it's about Tina.
So if you could please take us through it.
Okay, great. So case 2. Tina currently lives at Kaswa. I wonder what sin she committed, but okay. So Tina currently lives at Kaswa with her parents and works in a company located at East Legon. She earns 5,000 cedis from her main job and 1,500 cedis from her side gig at Medina. She goes to Medina 3 times a week after work. She has had to slow down with her side hustle because of the stress of commuting from one place to the other, which leaves her tired and unproductive. She spends about 4 hours a day on the road, and her transportation cost per month is between 1,500 to 2,000 cedis. Her parents are comfortable, so she doesn't have to contribute to the upkeep of the home. Her best friend, Ikea, has recently moved into a 2-bedroom apartment at Adenta and has tried to persuade Tina to share the apartment and split the rent and utility bills, which will cost her about 650 cedis a month. Tina is worried about spending more in total since all she pays for now is her transportation. What should Tina do? Adam, did you get it?
Yes, please. Sorry, I was speaking while muted. Yeah. So, what should Tina do? Maybe Paulina, we should start with you. Or
this is a really interesting case because one, she has to think about whether or not, like, she doesn't pay rent at her parents, but one of the things I have learned, and this is like a personal experience, I used to live at McCarthy and work around the ministries, and it was really hard. The traffic you had to sit in every day going to work and every day coming back to work. So I decided that, Charlie, you know what? I'll move forward a little bit. That's how come I came to live in Dansuman. I think that she should move. But I said this cautiously. One, I'm thinking about her health, of course, based on all of the commute. But before I continue, Elikem, let me say that Kaswa people take offense to the joke you just shared. But she should move, looking at her health. The other thing to consider is it's a different ballgame living with people you know. I say this knowing that sometimes when you move in with people you don't know, it's better than when you move in with people you know. I'm saying this based on my university room experience. Like, she has to think about how the arrangement will affect their friendship, for example. All of those are things that she may have to consider. But I think moving into town to save herself the long commutes is something that is worth thinking about. But she really has to think about the toll the moving together might take on the friendship, because that is also another angle to look at it from. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paulina. And yeah, I think I would like to hear from Mimi too. What are your thoughts on that?
In fact, I was thinking about it during the write-up. I didn't want to make it too easy to figure out. I was thinking, when I wrote about the friend, I was thinking about, food is expensive. And if you are getting a lot of food from your parents, I don't know how much you'll be spending on food. Assuming, let's say, she can pack food from home and take to work, and now she's on her own and she would have to do a lot more cooking. That could also take up some significant cost she can consider. But one thing about moving to her friend's place, though, is that she can also pay attention to her side gig and even scale it up, because she's not spending 4 hours. Maybe she's spending maybe about 30 minutes to an hour on the road, and the additional 3 hours can be used to make more money. Even if she allocates just 2 hours and 1 for resting, she can still maybe do this thing more than 3 times a week and make more money. We'll have to look at the 2 alternatives and see which one will give her the highest gain, not reducing it to only monetary value, but her mental health and her general well-being. So yeah, that's what I think. If I were to be here, I think I'll move. The whole traffic thing, I know about it. I don't know if I will want to be going to Kaswa and Trotro every time. I don't know about that.
What does Kaswa done to people at all? Anyway, Alikem, what are your thoughts?
Paulina brought this angle about being with a friend, and it just blew it up for me. It opened up a whole new thinking that I wasn't thinking about originally. And it looks like the situation has brought an either or thing. Like, okay, stay at your parents' place or go move in with your friend. Personally, after university, I was done living with people. After national service, I was moving out. Like one Friday night, I told my mother, I'm moving out. This weekend, I'm going. And Monday morning, I was gone. You understand? Of course, I went to live with my father, but I still went. Anyway, or he's in his empty apartment. But yeah, it depends on how you are, your temperament. For me, I don't like to live with other people. I like my personal space. So if that's a concern for her, it can take a toll on your mental health. It can take a toll on your productivity. So it's something that she should consider. A few other thoughts that I would consider in this is the financial trade-offs. Yes, let's moving to a place like Adenta or anywhere closer. And I would add, like, the option shouldn't be just going to move to with her friend. Move away from Kaswa. No offense to Kaswa people, but it's really about pros and cons. So get somewhere closer to East Legon or East Legon and Medina, somewhere in between, that the rent is affordable. And with that, her transportation can reduce, and of course the rent will go up, and things like food are coming up. But I read Seram's response on our chat. Seram is saying that she can go home on weekends to pack food. That's if the parents will still be comfortable with her still eating from their kitchen. That's fine. Then she can do that, or she can also do meal prep on her own to cut down the cost of food, so that on weekends she cooks and then she packs it. I've been doing meal prep for the last 3 weeks. No, wait, like 5 weeks now. It helps. Okay, it helps. So I strongly encourage that. I think last, driving from Kaswa all the way to East Legon doesn't help. Also, we must remember that she said it's affecting her productivity. That means that 1,005, the side hustle money, I've forgotten how much exactly is it. That's what, 1,005, yeah, 1,005 a month that she's getting from her side hustle is at risk. And also, it may be even her main job that's paying her 5,000 is also at risk. If she's going to be slacking off at work or sleeping or be less productive, that also is at risk. So she needs to protect those things. And like Mimi said, there's opportunity to scale up. So take the bold step, rent affordably. If she can do it with her friend, great. If she would prefer to be alone, to great. But definitely, I think that moving from Kaswa, it should happen. You understand? So yeah, let's people who work around Wija and Kaswa go and live there. Thank you.
Thank you, Alikem. And it's great you brought in the perspective of it doesn't have to be necessarily going to share the space with a friend, because I think that's one of the challenges sometimes. People living together brings a whole dynamic. And I like the angle Paulina came from when she said, sometimes even it might be better to move in with people you don't know, because it doesn't, there are sometimes when you move in with people you know, the friendships can be at stake. Okay, so it's very, very important that she thinks through all of that. But I think I go with the idea of she moving closer to work, because as we can see clearly, it's affecting her productivity. And it's anything that once it is affecting her productivity, then she needs to look at it carefully. Sometimes the traffic, this up and down the whole week, when you calculate the hours lost, it's crazy. And if you look at it in monetary terms, even if you want to translate those hours into money hours, then it's really going to make sense to rather pay rents elsewhere than the savings you think you are making by staying far away. Thanks so much for all the. So for those who are just joining, we are discussing when you want to own a home and some of the challenges or the dynamics that come into it, or the dilemma that people face. And we are using case studies to discuss this. We've discussed 2 case studies so far, and we are moving on to the third one. Elikem, can you walk us through the third one?
Yeah, just a quick second while I drop the third one in the replies.
Yeah, so you can follow the thread of the space. You will see the various case studies there. And we are just trying to look at the various dilemmas people face when they are trying to take a decision on how to own a home, whether to buy or to build, or to go for a mortgage, or to rent, or what have you. So there are different scenarios we are looking at, just to be able to ask and advise ourselves how we can make those decisions when it comes to owning a property or a home. Yeah. Elikem, are you done?
Yes, I'm ready. Okay, so it goes like this. Raymond's, this case 3, yeah. Prof. Asare lectures at YKL University. So yeah, this may be a bit an older person than Tina. So Prof. Asare lectures at YKL University. Combining his income from lecturing and consultancy, he earns quite a killing. He has 4 properties. The one he lives in, another he rents for 1,500 cedis a month, which will take him about 15 years to break even. Then 2 plots of land in Oyarifa. And lastly, an uncompleted property in his village accommodating squatters. It has been his dream to own as many properties as possible, since it is considered a sign of wealth among his friends and in his hometown. A major emergency got Prof. Asare rethinking about taking investing seriously. Beyond having an emergency fund and some T-bills, he is considering investing in an apartment at East Legon. Data shows that the demand for renting East Legon properties is reducing, because of affordability issues caused by the strengthening of the dollar. Owning a property at East Legon will make him even more respected, apart from the prospect of earning in dollars. What should he do?
What should he do? What should Professor do? I think I will start with Mimi.
I realize that East Legon has suffered in these case studies, but forgive me, I work there. So anyway, when it comes to real estate, I think that I don't know about other countries, but I think culturally everybody like that I know in Ghana says that, hey, once I build my house or once I have a property, like I've achieved something. And so it becomes very sentimental. I was talking to someone last week and he made the comment like the comment was like, he knows that buying a house may not be the wisest idea, but he just wants to have it. And I think that for some of us, we either find ourselves there because there's money, or we'll find ourselves there. Everybody say hallelujah. Anyway, so
Hallelujah.
so yeah, so it's very important that if you are investing in real estate, and it's not just for sentimental reasons, that you look at the numbers, like I think has been referred to earlier on. It's very important that you look at the numbers to see if it makes sense, because when you're investing, another thing you look at is the opportunity cost, and you can look at this in the long run, not just like a short run thing. So you realize that maybe if he puts pen on paper or he calculates this, you realize that it may be better to use his money to buy something, because at the end of the day, it's an investment and he's looking at value for money. Or he may still do real estate, but maybe he would look at some undervalued areas that are more promising or are more likely to, grow in value over the years as people discover it, rather than East Legon that may have already gone through that and probably is overpriced now. So I think that he should put his feelings aside, maybe get a professional who would, let him see things a different way, put some numbers to it and see, yes, he still wants to be an Ogborogbo. He can still invest in real estate and be still called a landlord, maybe not in East Legon, but there should still be some sense behind it, so that he doesn't work all his life, just acquire assets that don't give him any value, which is a lot of the time what people do, have so many assets and then they don't bring you any value in the long term. Then you've just wasted all your hard years of work. So that's what I'll say.
Thank you, Mimi, for that. I think I will take Elikem your take.
Okay. My angle, besides what Mimi has said, is there's this term that is used when people are, is it home rich or asset rich, cash poor? I think that's where the emergency shook him and he realized that he has to take investing seriously. And of course, buying properties is also investing. From the examples they gave, besides his own home, the other 3 properties are for investment purposes. So that's, well, 2 of them are for investment purposes. The last one in the hometown is for sentimental reasons. So 2 properties for investments. That's good. We should avoid making suboptimal decisions because of sentiments. There's that. Mimi has spoken at length. But what I would also like to add on is diversification. I think this person is on a good path. There are some people who make a lot of money and at the end of the day, they have nothing to show for it. At least he has some landed property to show for his income generation. Just that he needs to start diversifying. Perhaps he should look at some other assets like T-bills, or even if it's even if it's not real estate, maybe consider investing in a business or buy shares or something, because you want some assets that can provide liquidity. Take away the emergency fund, which is about to build. These other properties may not generate any assets for him. Alternatively, he can also consider the property in the hometown. Can it be like a guest house that can generate some revenue for him, and that revenue he can store it and for maintenance or something, So that's just why I think diversification should be his concern.
Thank you, Elikem. When you started talking, I was thinking about this. Like, it looks like he seems to be like quite concentrated in property in terms of the investment. So he might have to think about other kind of investment. Then it just hits me, but the bonds too now that you could have gone to and find some sort of solace to. People are receiving haircuts there. So where should we put the money now? Elikem.
That's it. The matter chop hot, right? But I think these days, the financials market is recovering, it's stable right now, So he may consider going back in there. That's why I mentioned. Besides that, I mentioned some other areas. You look at buying shares in companies, the equity mutual funds, buying shares on the Ghana Stock Exchange, or even investing in businesses. Al Jazeera was just asking recently for businesses to invest in startups. There's an opportunity where people start thinking necessity is the mother of invention. So people who have excess money can now start doing things like crowdfunding and all that. Of course, it comes with some level of risk. Or he could do like lending to some market women who are going to buy tomatoes and come back or something. There are other ways you can do it. Of course, you have to assess the risk. Just putting all your eggs into the real estate basket may not be ideal.
Adam.
Yes, sorry, me.
As a financial planner, please, you should see a financial planner for a response to that question.
Nice one there. But I think that's important to be able to get that balance that he needs in the portfolio of investments that he holds. So I guess shamelessly plugging in.
Yes, I just wanted to add that with regards to the property strategy, he would need to review his whole strategy. And maybe he would have to sell off some to, especially if the market is good, to generate capital for maybe other things that may be more, may give him a better opportunities. Let me put it that way. Just
okay, thank you so much. For those who are just joining us today on Money Convos, we are discussing home, if you want to own a home and some of the dilemmas people face in terms of the property and home ownership, rentals, mortgages, whatsoever. And we are treating case studies to discuss this, and we are on our third case study. We are moving on to our fourth case study, just to look at some of the dilemmas people face when they are dealing with home ownership or anything regarding property and housing. So, Elikem, I think we can post the fourth one. So you can follow the various case studies in the thread, the space, or the thread space here.
Okay, great. I've posted it, so I'll go ahead and read it. This is the last case, and I actually like this one. I'm sure some people can relate from certain bits and pieces. Okay, so Raymond's father bought each of his 3 children a piece of land at East Legon Hills, about 45 minutes from Raymond's workplace and 30 minutes from his children's school. Raymond has been paying rent of 3,000 cedis a month, which is about 20% of his salary. Hey, Raymond has money. Anyway, he is not excited about paying rent to his controversial landlord and is looking at building or acquiring a property. He has the opportunity to acquire a home around the same area with a company mortgage, which will cost him 2.5 times the cost of building a home. The problem is he doesn't have a title to the land, just an indenture, which is not sufficient documentation for acquiring mortgage to build. He can take a personal loan in addition to his savings to build, but it will take him 4 years to totally complete his building. What should he do? Buy the house or build?
Wow, buy the house or build. I think, Paulina, I will start with you on this.
With my experience in the mortgage industry in Ghana, I'd say he should build. Like, you have the indenture. What's so difficult about doing the land title and all of that? I think that he should go ahead and build his own house if he can get the documents registered in his name. I think he just has to go to the Lands Commission and get it transferred or something. Then he can take a mortgage to complete it earlier than the 4 years that he thinks he will do if he has to take a loan to top up his savings and build. I am saying this because a friend of mine bought a house from one of these real estate agencies, and it turned out that inferior quality products was used to build the house. In the end, he had to do some renovation, and the way mortgage is in Ghana, when you are paying in dollars with the current economic challenges that we have, I hear the cedis now stabilizing against the dollar, but for how long will it go on? So I would say he should build rather than buy.
He should build rather than buy. But okay, well, we'll circle back to that again. I think I'll go to Elikem and then I'll come to Nene.
Okay, this is an interesting one. A few things that I would consider in there, and sure, Mimi wrote the story and mentioned location for a good reason. It doesn't state where he currently lives. It talks about how he and the landlord, things are not going so well. But then there is the land at East Legon Hills is 45 minutes away from his workplace, 30 minutes away from his children's school. So it's not just about time, maybe the direction to, this is something that's critical, because if he goes to buy the house, buy or build somewhere that would throw the directions all over the place, it may not be ideal. So it needs to make sure that the location is central enough to important places, church, home, school, or if you have to relocate the children's school, if that's an optimal decision, that's fine. Usually you can't change where your workplace is. So that is constant. So first thing to consider is location. Second thing to do is I really think that he should perfect the title, like Paulina was saying. Whether it's for the purpose of a mortgage or for any purpose, or for to build it yourself, you should still go ahead and perfect the title. Make sure that no one can lay a claim on the land that you believe is yours. I think the last part I would talk about is the decision to buy and build, and then also how to finance it. Looking at buying a house at 2.5 times the cost of building, I think it makes a very clear case to build the house, because that's spend 2.5 times more than you need. Not too appealing. You can save your money that way. Just get in touch with someone like Adam, so that he puts you in touch with all the necessary professionals and he'll manage your project for you. Adam, you see what I did there. Anyway, so there's that. Make sure professionals are involved. Make sure you don't go be outside of the cost. You stay within the cost. I think the person should still do a mortgage. Of course, that comes back to the second point I mentioned about perfecting the title. Because even if you have the money to pay for a mortgage to pay for the cost of your house outright, and the case, let's say it will take him about 4 years. In his case, why would you lock up your money for 4 years in an uncompleted building when you can just put a 20% down payment, get a mortgage, and free up your cash for other things? You will get more leverage. You will get some leverage in that, but then you can use your money for other things. Even if you are not investing it, if you are investing the money and not spending it on anything else, that savings or that investment that you'll be accumulating is still your asset, and it can still serve as should I say a collateral for any other thing that you want to do. So more flexibility by taking the mortgage. Of course, you need to make sure that you are going according to the plan that you brought, because when people are building on their own, they end up going over budget. So he may end up getting close enough to the cost of building or buying, because one, today you don't like the size of this bedroom, so you want to expand it a little, or you want a spiral staircase this time, you want to add another floor. All those things would be happening. So just stick to a plan that you can afford, manage the costs. And also locking in for building a house over a 4-year tenure, prices will just keep going up and up and up and up. Why not lock it down one time and be done with it? Oh, final thing I'll say, a benefit of a mortgage really is the bank that will give you the mortgage, they will do all their due diligence to make sure that they don't lose the house. So even if you have the cash, doing it with a mortgage bank will help make sure that your title to the asset is protected. They will force you to get an insurance, because if you build it on your own, you may not get an insurance. So you are doing things right. And if in 10 years time, you want to pay down the whole mortgage ahead of time, that's good. And you pay it off and you have your assets that you protected all throughout that period. So I would definitely go for ensure that the location is good enough to fit in your other life decisions, and then build it, but with the right dimension, with the right constraints and a mortgage. Thank you.
Thank you, Elikem. And I think maybe I will hear your concluding thoughts on this.
Okay, Adam, I have a question for you. So,
for me.
How long does it take to get a title on your property? Because I know it can take long, like sometimes 2 years. I don't know if anything has changed.
This question, I have been chasing some title for like 3 years. So it can take long. Yeah, it can take long actually. But I believe there are some real estate agencies that help with that process. Yeah, I think some people do that for a fee. And even with most of these places in Ghana, especially our government agencies, there are a lot of people who take unofficial fees and can facilitate it for you. So for some of us who don't like to pay, we keep long. So, but I think generally it had improved at a point in time, but currently I don't know. I just lost interest and I stopped pursuing. So I don't know how long it takes now. But I think on paper it's supposed to take just a few weeks to a month or 2 months or so. But in reality, I think it takes for a while.
Okay, so for me that becomes a stumbling block if you're trying to secure this title before you get the mortgage. At the same time, locking up your savings and your whole savings and taking a loan, building a home can leave you broke. Building a home can leave you broke and vulnerable. So I think it's something that you have to think about. Can he move elsewhere and take his time and build the property if he really can't stand this landlord? And so for me, I think that would be my question, because that would be my response, because Ghana we did, and things can just waste your time. And then also buying the property, like Paulina said, yes, sometimes you buy and then they use substandard materials, and at the end of the day you lose out, and it's also much more expensive than building the property yourself. And so I think I'll go for buying, but maybe give it a bit more time, because it may take time to even get the title, to even get the mortgage. So he can move to some other area, get a nicer landlord while he figures out. If he can get someone to fast track, this process, then he can look at the mortgage, which I think is good because, like Elikem said, prices of things in Ghana, I mean, last year was the worst. If you wanted to build the year before and you didn't buy your materials and put there, that means your cost is probably likely to double. Adam, let me know if I'm saying the truth. And
More than double.
More than double. And it's not like money is easy to come by. The little we have, brother man said he's coming for it. So I think that what Elihem said will be the best way to go. But unfortunately, there are also some barriers in the way. So he can move to smaller, he can move to somewhere that's more comfortable, maybe at a lower cost, so that he can make up a bit more savings for this project while he figures out how he can get the lump sum. If he can get a soft loan, his father has money, he's bought lands. If he can also supply the money so that we do the project and pay him back while we work on the title, that one too won't be bad.
Sure. I think with regard to the title too, I just remembered, I think when we had the last, I think that was on Clubhouse, when we had the discussion about this mortgage and stuff like that. I think, I don't know whether was it there or some banks sort of have this in-house people who help you to be able to get, like Elihem said, they will force you to do the right thing. So maybe if he goes through that route too, you could also get your title in quickly. So but I think you just have to shop around and ask around. There's definitely someone who is ready to help to make it, to be able to facilitate your process and make it, the title come out, and then he can use it for what's it called, the mortgage and what have you. So, but for me, I am more biased towards building because obviously I need jobs. So I am more biased. But like I think the whatever it is, whether you are buying or you are building, I think it's very important to involve professionals in the process that you are doing, so you don't get shortchanged. So like Paulina gave the example, she's not the only one. I mean, your friend is not the only person who I know so many cases of people who have bought houses and it turned out to be that they use substandard materials, because if you just enter a space, sometimes it might be difficult for you to tell whether this material or this thing that has been used is good enough. So normally if you use someone who has the experience or somebody who is involved in this process all the time, I think it helps. So you are able to avoid a situation where you bought a property and now you have to deal with so many defects. I always say that a building is probably for a lot of, I think for most of us, that's going to be that single most expensive item or ticket item on our budgets. If you intend to either build or buy or something, it's probably going to be your most expensive expenditure you might engage in throughout your life. So you would want to get it right. You don't want to do something and then later regret. And one of the most painful things is to live in a house that has so many defects. Every morning when you wake up, you might either curse the real estate company or the contractor who did the work for you. So it's very, very important to get people who assist you along the way to get things done properly. And I know that, yes, there are people who also parade themselves as professionals, but they end up shortchanging people. But that's why it's important to always go around, shop around, and check and be very sure as to the people that you are dealing with. So for me, I would go by saying probably he could start off the project like Elikem said. Instead of buying, he might want to build. and then along the way probably get a home completion mortgage and finish up the building faster than it will take him if he's supposed to rely on personal loan, because building is very expensive, and if you don't have the finances readily available, you might end up overshooting budget. Just a classic example. Yes, I think somewhere last week or so, on Tuesday, I went to buy cement. It was 76 cedis. By Thursday, Friday, when I went back again, it was now 86 cedis, 10 cedis, just within a space of 2 days. So these are some of the challenges we have in our parts of the world where prices can just change without notice. So it's very, very important that you have the finances available and prepare and plan ahead of time so that you don't lock up yourself and then you are caught off guard. In the end, you might end up spending so much money than you intended to do. So that would be my recommendation or my contribution to this part. Yeah. Elikem. Hello, Elikem. If you're talking, you're muted.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's for me, I think it's the general consensus. You've even added that angle of home completion. Start even without the title, you can start, and then once you are doing perfecting the title in parallel, you would just get that done and then get the home completion. I guess another thing that this has gotten me thinking about, since Mimi asked you a question, I'm also going to ask you a question, but I don't want you to answer because I have other people who want to answer that question. And that question is, okay, so we've spoken about real estate today, whether it's for home or it's for an investment property. Well, Mimi and Seiram would be having a session two sessions on 22nd and 23rd April at 4 p.m. on Zoom. I've added the details in the tweets. I don't know how to pin things into the space directly, as I would have. But yeah, there's a flyer there. Check it out. There's going to be an interesting conversation. Tse-Addo, a real estate expert, would also be speaking in there. The link to register is in the thread. So just scroll in there, find it, and register. You want to make sure that you understand all that we've discussed, and if you are ready to make the move, know what next steps you should take. All right. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to add. Oh, great. And then you've added that in there. That's great. So it's at the top of the space. Everyone can see it. Please do well to register and also follow him at investment_friend on Instagram. They give a personal finance coaching. Mimi mentioned earlier that the best thing to do was a case 3 for Professori. Talk to a financial planner. That would be a good angle for you to look at, to talk to someone who would understand your personal situation and can address your concerns in a unique way for you. Okay, yeah. So that's it for me, Adam. Back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Any concluding thoughts before we sign off? Mimi, any concluding thoughts before we sign off?
Yeah, let me add that this course is going to be handled by Nana. Who is Nana? By Danswa. She is a real estate expert, as Eddie Kim mentioned, and we are also looking at ways people can invest in real estate in non-traditional ways, as in not having investing in real estate without having ownership. So there are going to be a number of strategies and options, and so please tell a friend to tell a friend and try and be there. We'll be talking about land tenure systems, real estate asset classes, financing your real estate investment, types of investments and opportunities, ownership versus control, undertaking necessary checks, as Adam touched on, understanding the target market for each location and opportunities for each location, and the list goes on and on. So please check it out, and if it's something that you think would help you, you can register and join. Thank you.
Thank you, Mimi. And Paulina, any concluding thoughts before we sign off? Paulina, if you're speaking, you're muted. Oh, sorry.
I don't think
Paulina.
she's here.
Yeah, I don't see her here. Then which version of Twitter are you using? Advanced version.
It's not easy. My regular phone is giving me challenges, so I'm using some.
You're a big man.
It's not easy. All right. It looks like it takes a while for it to reflect, but she's dropped off. Yeah. So, Elikem, your concluding thoughts, and then we would we'll drop out of here.
Yeah. So in all these cases that we looked at, I think certain themes run through. You need to think about the location. You need to think about your choice about whether you are financing it or you are taking a mortgage. And you need to think about whether you are building or you are buying. All those things come to play. You don't want to make any suboptimal decisions. And you also need to think about even your general life plans, right? Are you going to be staying at the same place? Because if you build a house, chances are you're going to have to live there for a while. If you are thinking about other job opportunities, maybe you should just wait it out and see how those other ones will play. I just think that you won't always have 100% certainty about a particular move, but if you have at least some 70% certainty that this will work out, pull the trigger. Before you get that certainty, of course, you need to talk to professionals who can help advise you. Not just talk to your friend or some elder in your church or just some opinion leader. You need to talk to proper experts. That's what I think you need to do before you make some of these decisions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elikem. Thank you all for joining this evening's piece. And I think it has been an interesting discussion, discussing all the various angles about home ownership and rental mortgages and what have you. Please do join us here every Wednesday on Twitter Spaces for discussions. We discuss a wide range of topics. You can also check out our previous conversations either here on Twitter or on podcast. Wherever you listen to your podcast, just type in Money Convos GH and you would see our previous conversations. We've had conversations ranging from anything from personal finance, budgeting, and anything, trending issues and what have you, even like home ownership as we have discussed today. There are different conversations that you can listen in, and then you can also invite your friends and other people to listen in every Wednesday at 6 p.m. GMT. So thank you all for joining. As Elikem said, give us a follow and give Investment Friend also a follow, our sister group that are also into investment education, especially for the ladies, but it's open to everybody. You can follow them. They have some good content there. So thank you all for joining this space today, and catch you next week for another exciting discussion on another very, very important topic. Thank you all. Good night, good afternoon, wherever you are.
Good night. Bye.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our thoughts. I hope you learned a thing or two and start practicing. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. Do tell a friend about Money Convos so we all become wealthy together. Talk to you soon. Bye.